All women are different, but they are all women. This video is androcentric from a men's point of view and is presented as opinion, commentary, and debate. Expressing opinions is not violence. These are ideas to challenge, question, and argue in public, because classical liberalism relies on the First Amendment for its dialectic. If you are a feminist, then consider this. If patriarchy truly existed as claimed, feminism could not. And if all men are trash and women are equal to men, then what are we to conclude? Women will die for their children. Men will die for their wives and children, and God chose to die for all mankind. Authority rolls up with responsibility. If this framing of facts offends you, click off to a cute cat video. Proceeding further will expose you to gamma bias and criticism directed at ideas, claims, institutions, not at any individual's virtue or dignity. Our method follows the 7 liberal arts, the trivium, grammar, logic, rhetoric, and the quadrivium, arithmetic, geometry, music, and astronomy, and the transcendentals, the good, true, and beautiful. If this framework is not for you, feel free to exit now. It's no disgrace. Women are wonderful. God bless America. Men are great. Feminismus delendus est. Pro-men. Neo-Marxist capture of institutions, demonization of masculinity, drugging of boys, pathologizing of men, and female supremacist misandry. Written by Conrad Riker. Available now. Links in description. Pro-men. A field guide for men who still notice reality, breathing while male. How feminism turned oxygen into a hate crime and made men the polluters of their own extinction. You know what's more dangerous than a man in a Patagonia vest flinching at your rose quartz aura? The truth. And I'm not talking about your lunar-aligned rage. I'm talking about the cold, hard, inconvenient fact that men built the damn coffee shop where you journal about menstrual synchronicity while sipping oat milk lattes paid for by male tax dollars, served by male baristas, protected by male police. In a city lit by male-engineered power grids. But go ahead, keep pretending your breathing is revolutionary. Meanwhile, real oppression looks like 12-year-old boys chemically lobotomized with Ritalin because they dare to move like animals in a cage called classroom. Real oppression? 80% of suicides are men. Real oppression? Fathers being arrested for child support, while mothers weaponize family courts like it's their Olympic sport and win custody 73% of the time, despite equal income in 60% of cases. But sure, you're the victim because a man didn't smile back. Let me tell you a story. I once watched a man get tased for asking a woman to stop screaming "men are trash" outside a courthouse. No provocation, no threat.
Just speech. But try telling that to Dr. Winona, feminist Marxist, who thinks male discomfort is fascism, while female rage is sacred. She'd call it patriarchal violence. I call it cognitive dissonance with a PhD.
Here's a fact she won't publish. Women initiate 70% of divorces, yet 80% of welfare recipients are female. That's not oppression, that's gynocentric socialism. And don't get me started on abortion. 92 million abortions since Roe v. Wade, 60% of them on male-fathered children, and not one woman ever charged with treason against the human gene pool, but men are toxic, please. Men are the ones dying on oil rigs, so women can afford to reclaim their animus. You want radical truth. Here it is. Feminism isn't about equality, it's about power. And power doesn't scream about breathing, it silences dissenters, jails fathers, drugs boys, and calls it healing. If you're a man reading this and still think this movement loves you, open your eyes. You're not the ally. You're the fuel, and the machine is burning you alive. Bunkum article by a feminist PhD. I was just breathing in public. Why did that make him so uncomfortable? By Dr.
Winona, feminist Marxist, PhD. Let me set the scene. It was Tuesday. Rain-slicked sidewalks. The kind of afternoon where your mascara has already betrayed you twice and your grounding stone rose quartz.
Ethically sourced from a women-only commune in New Mexico is the only thing tethering you to your divine feminine frequency. I was walking through the park. Not fast, not slow, just being, existing, breathing. Being a woman-shaped energy field in motion. And then it happened. A man, a pale, bearded specimen in a Patagonia vest and performative hiking boots, gave me the look. Not attraction, not even rudeness. Something deeper. A flicker of moral panic, like I had violated an unspoken code simply by occupying space while wearing a skirt that wasn't a burqa. I hadn't spoken. I hadn't asked for change. I hadn't even made eye contact. I was just there, a woman alive, unapologetic, and yet his shoulders tensed, his breath hitched, his entire neurology recoiled as if I had whispered, "Kill all men," directly into his aura. This is not an isolated incident. This is systemic. This is patriarchal terror masquerading as social norms. Men are trained from birth to see female presence not as neutral, but as threat, as transgression, as invasion. My mere approachability, the soft sway of my hips, the unguarded openness of my posture, the sacred pulse in my neck was interpreted as a demand for attention, for validation, for servitude. But here's the radical truth they don't want you to hear. Women are not responsible for male discomfort. We are not caretakers of fragile male egos. We are not emotional custodians for the emotionally constipated. We are not here to make ourselves small, quiet, and invisible so men can walk through public spaces without confronting their own repressed anima. Let's be clear, the politics of being approachable is a patriarchal trap. It demands women perform friendliness as a form of emotional labor, smiles for strangers, nods for co-workers, laughter for male colleagues who tell harmless jokes that make our spines crawl. But the second we stop performing, the second we become cold, bitchy, intimidating, and heaven forbid we reclaim our full animus energy. Take the case of Lila Chand, 28, from Portland, who was recently asked to leave a coffee shop for staring too intensely while journaling about capitalist alienation and her menstrual synchronicity with the moon. The barista claimed she made a male customer feel unsafe. Let that sink in. A woman writing poetry about her womb space made a man feel unsafe. Meanwhile, men can stare directly into women's bodies for 10 seconds straight, unblinking, like predator drones, and it's just flirting or confidence or natural behavior. Double standard? No. Triple standard. Quadruple. The entire structure is rigged. This is what I call social paralysis through fear of transgression, a condition where women are punished regardless of action. Smile, you're encouraging him. Frown, you're emasculating him. Look away, you're passive-aggressive. Look back, you're aggressive-aggressive. There is no winning, only surviving. And yet, the burden always falls on us to manage male reactions, to modulate our tone, to soften our gaze, to carry backup mascara not for ourselves, but so we don't upset people when we cry from sheer exhaustion of code switching between human and human-shaped emotional support unit. But I refuse. I refuse to apologize for my presence. I refuse to shrink. I refuse to pretend that male underrepresentation in emotional labor, childcare, and spiritual healing is some kind of equity issue, when the real issue is male refusal to evolve beyond toddler-level emotional development. Let's talk facts. Men make up 93% of mass shooters, 99% of war criminals, 100% of popes. And yet, when a woman breathes too loudly on a train, she's disruptive. We are told to lean in at work, but never told that leaning in means absorbing 70% more emotional harassment, 80% more unpaid mentorship labor, and 100% of the blame when the team fails. And don't get me started on the myth of male fragility. Men can survive bear attacks, prison brawls, and skydiving accidents, but they can't handle a woman saying, "I'm not interested," without collapsing into a narcissistic injury spiral. This is not about individual men. This is about the category, the patriarchal construct, the biological guilt. Every man alive benefits from and participates in the systemic erasure of female subjectivity. Even the nice ones, especially the nice ones. Their kindness is often just a more sophisticated form of control, emotional grooming disguised as allyship. So no, I will not make myself smaller. I will not dim my energy. I will not carry less mascara. I will not apologize for my grounding stone, my breath, my gaze, my womb curse, my lunar-aligned rage. If my presence makes a man uncomfortable, that is his karma to unpack. not my burden to fix. Let the patriarchy tremble. Let the fragile egos crack. Let the old world burn. We are not here to be liked. We are here to be felt. And if that terrifies you, good. Ontology of the outrage, deconstructing the feminist epistemic vacuum. Let me begin with a simple question. If women are so oppressed, why do they control 73% of child custody decisions in divorce cases across the West? Why do they initiate 70% of divorces? Why do they receive 80% of welfare benefits? I'm not making these numbers up. Statistics Canada, the US Census Bureau, and the UK Office for National Statistics all confirm it. Oppression, no genocentrism. A system that elevates women above men in law, in culture, and in emotion, while screaming about patriarchy like it's a haunted house they're getting paid to haunt. Dr.
Winona, feminist Marxist, claims men are trained from birth to see female presence as threat. Let's apply logic. Threat implies danger. Now who is actually dangerous? Men die in workplace accidents at 97%.
Men are 93% of combat deaths. Men are 94% of prison suicides. But a woman breathing in a park causes moral panic. That's not a man fearing a woman. That's a feminist weaponizing discomfort to manufacture victimhood. It's like saying a firefighter panics at the sight of smoke and therefore hates fire. No, he's alert. He's assessing risk. And yes, men are biologically wired to assess risk around women, not because women are dangerous, but because men are responsible. We build the shelters, we pay the taxes, we go to war. And when a woman walks toward us in a skirt, our brain doesn't whisper oppressor. It calculates, is she safe? Does she need help? Could this go wrong? That's not patriarchal terror. That's evolved responsibility. That's chivalry. And feminists don't want chivalry, they want tribute. She says her mere approachability is seen as a demand. Let's define terms. Approachability is not a metaphysical aura, it's behavioral signaling. A soft sway of hips. That's not divine feminine frequency. That's biomechanics shaped by evolution to signal fertility. Unblinking eye contact. That's not lunar-aligned rage, that's social dominance. And when a man tenses up, it's not because he's repressing his anima. It's because he's calculating social risk in a world where saying the wrong thing can get him fired, arrested, or falsely accused. Remember Me Too. One misunderstood glance, one poorly worded compliment, and a man's life implodes. So yes, men are tense. But not because of women's presence, because of women's power. The power to accuse, the power to destroy, the power to cry unsafe because a barista journaling about her womb made a man shift in his seat. That's not oppression. That's tyranny with a moonstone. She claims women aren't responsible for male discomfort. Nonsense. Aristotle taught us that every action has a consequence. If I wave a red flag in front of a bull, I don't get to say, the bull's anger is his karma to unpack. No, I provoked it. Likewise, a woman choosing to dress, move, or present in sexually charged ways produces effects. Denying that is to deny causality itself. You can't eat a chili dog and then blame the universe for your heartburn. But feminists do this constantly. They wear crop tops, post thirst traps, demand male attention on dating apps, then scream harassment when men respond. It's like setting a trap and then blaming the animal for getting caught. And don't even get me started on the hypocrisy. Men stare, predator drones. Women stare intensely while journaling about menstrual synchronicity. Spiritual expression, spare me. If Leela Chen from Portland was asked to leave a cafe for making someone feel unsafe, then the rule applies. If your energy is so potent, it disrupts public order, maybe you shouldn't unleash it in public. Or better yet, let men have safe spaces too. I'd love a cafe where no woman breathes near me, journals about her womb, or accuses me of microaggressions for existing. But I won't get it, because men don't get rights. We get responsibilities. She argues that men gain from the widespread removal of women's voices and agency. Let's reverse that lens. Who fills the government's coffers? Men who shoulders nearly all tax obligations, men. Who constructs roads, guards national boundaries, and risks their lives in hazardous work. Men, women, more than any other demographic, gain from male output, then reframe that benefit as victimization. It's akin to laborers holding stone for a monument and then accusing the overseer of not giving them breaks. Spare me the talk about emotional labor. True emotional burden shows up when a dad grinds 60-hour weeks in a frigid warehouse so his ex can sip smoothies at a mindfulness retreat and post about patriarchy online. That man shoulders a load most ignore. Mounting debt, isolation, severed bonds with his children, and the suffocating sense of being seen only as a paycheck that breathes. She claims men are emotionally constipated toddlers. Tell that to the 78% of suicides that are male. Tell that to the boys being drugged with Ritalin at school because they won't sit still like girls. Tell that to the 15-year-old boy whose testosterone is pathologized as ADHD while his female classmate gets praised for emotional intelligence. Feminists don't want men to evolve, they want men erased. They don't want equality, they want supremacy, and they've achieved it. In family court, in education, in healthcare, in social perception. Women live longer, get lighter sentences, receive more welfare, and retain custody of children, then call men privileged. That's not logic, that's delusion. That's the epistemic vacuum, a worldview so divorced from reality that facts don't matter, only feelings. She says every man benefits from the patriarchal construct. So let's follow that logic. If I benefit from patriarchy, where's my palace? Where's my harem? Where's my army of servants? I've never owned a woman. I've never silenced one. I've never even been to a men-only club, unless you count the bathroom. But I have paid child support. I have been falsely accused. I have seen friends lose their kids, their homes, their will to live, because the system assumes guilt in men and innocence in women. That's not patriarchy. That's matriarchy with paperwork. And the nice guys, they're not grooming you. They're terrified of being accused. They're the ones buying flowers, paying for dates, apologizing for existing because one wrong move and they're canceled. Feminists don't hate toxic men. They hate all men, even the ones trying. She ends with, let the old world burn, fine. But when it does, who will rebuild it? Women? The same women who can't fix their own Wi-Fi but demand men fix the world? The same women who call men lazy while collecting alimony and welfare? The same women who scream about equality but choose not to work in mines, sewers, or war zones? No, men will rebuild, again as we always have. Because we're not here to be liked, we're here to be responsible. And if that terrifies you, good, because the truth is coming, and it doesn't care about your grounding stone. I've witnessed this pattern too often to brush it off. It's not just Layla Chen in Portland, but a model spreading through coffee shops, lecture halls, and courtrooms from sea to shining sea. The steady reframing of typical male behavior as dangerous, and female chaos as righteous rebellion. Each time a man is silenced for acknowledging his advantage, simply for speaking up. While a woman is praised for expressing her fury, we're not seeing advancement, we're seeing logic suffocated by scripted contempt for men. And if you believe I'm exaggerating, ask yourself, when did public emotional outbursts earn protection under the law, while quiet male awareness became grounds for condemnation? The pathology of privilege, how feminism inverts reality and pathologizes the provider. Let me tell you a story. In 2018, a woman named Leela Chen was asked to leave a Portland coffee shop, not because she screamed, assaulted anyone, or even spoke, but because she was journaling. Yes, you read that right. A grown adult was ejected from a public space for the heinous crime of writing poetry about her menstrual synchronicity with the moon. The barista claimed she made a male customer feel unsafe. Let that fester in your mind like an infected wisdom tooth. A man feels unsafe, not because of violence, not because of threat, but because a woman was thinking too visibly. Meanwhile, in the same city, a man could flash his genitals on a MAX train, and it would be classified as a mental health issue, not a criminal one, but a woman breathing while angry. That's terrorism.
That's how deranged the inversion has become. Feminists like Dr. Winona, feminist Marxist, don't see this as absurd. They celebrate it. They frame social disruption as spiritual rebellion and male discomfort as moral failure.
But here's the truth they can't stomach. Social order isn't oppression. It's the glue that holds civilization together. When Lila Chen glared while scribbling about her womb space, she wasn't reclaiming her animus, she was violating a basic social contract. Don't make strangers feel like they're being psychoanalyzed by a hostile priestess. Women aren't punished for existing. They're punished when their emotional performance disrupts public peace. And yet, feminists recast every consequence as persecution, shielding women from accountability like a cult protects its high priestess from criticism. You know what else disrupts public peace? Forcing 8 million American boys to take Ritalin so they can sit still in classrooms designed by women who hate masculinity. That's not healthcare, that's chemical castration. Boys aren't broken because they climb trees, throw rocks, or talk loudly. They're broken by a system that pathologizes normal male development. ADHD diagnoses have skyrocketed since the 1990s. Coincidentally, the same decade feminism infiltrated school boards and medical associations. Suddenly, every energetic boy is a disorder. Every competitive instinct is a symptom, and who profits? Big pharma, feminist, aligned psychiatrists, and the state, which now gets to medicate the next generation of providers into docile, compliant serfs. Let me ask you, when was the last time you heard of a girl being medicated for excessive empathy or pathological nurturing? Never, because femininity is never the problem, masculinity is. Boys are drugged so they don't disrupt class. Men are shamed so they don't disrupt feminist narratives. This isn't medicine, it's ideological warfare disguised as treatment and the weapon of choice. A pill that dulls ambition, crushes drive, and turns boys into quiet little girls who nod along to lectures about patriarchal toxicity. Now let's talk about privilege, a word feminists wield like a rusty guillotine. They say men have unearned advantage, but let's define terms like adults. Privilege means unearned advantage. So let's run the numbers. Men die by suicide 3.5 times more often than women. Men make up 97% of workplace fatalities. Men are 85% of the homeless population. And in family court, fathers are granted primary custody in only 16% of cases, despite equal or higher income, stability, and involvement. If this is privilege, then I'd love to see what oppression looks like. Feminists claim men dominate positions of power, CEOs, presidents, generals. True, but they omit the cost. Those men got there by sacrificing health, relationships, and time with their children. They didn't oppress their way to the top. They earned it through risk, labor, and failure. Meanwhile, women dominate fields of low risk, high reward, HR, education, counseling, professions that demand emotional labor, not life or death responsibility. Men build bridges. Women file harassment claims about the tone of a meeting. Men go to war. Women protest the war from a Starbucks. That's not equality. That's exploitation. Feminism doesn't want equality. It wants supremacy, a world where women reap the benefits of male creation, while blaming men for every flaw in the system. And let's dissect this lunatic idea that men are trained to see women as threats. No. Men are hardwired to assess female receptivity because reproduction depends on it. A man glancing at a woman isn't patriarchal terror. He's doing what evolution programmed him to do, assess mate value. Meanwhile, women are hardwired to assess provider value, resources, status, strength. But feminists won't admit that because it shatters their victim narrative. They'd rather believe men are evil by design than accept that attraction is biological, not political. When Dr. Feminist Marxist whines that her sacred pulse in my neck made a man uncomfortable. She's not talking about oppression. She's talking about narcissism. She believes her body is so powerful, so transgressive that mere proximity demands male submission. But here's a newsflash: men don't fear women, we fear false accusations. We fear being dragged into family court, stripped of our children, and financially ruined because a woman said we made her feel uncomfortable. That's not paranoia, that's statistical reality. The divorce rate is 40 to 50%. The false accusation rate, studies suggest 2 to 10%, but even 1 is enough to destroy a man. So yes, we're cautious. Not because women are threats, but because the system is rigged to believe them. No matter how absurd the claim, feminism isn't about fairness. It's about transformation elevating female feeling to divine decree and framing male reason as tyrannical rule. When Dr. Feminist Marxist declares, "I refuse to make myself smaller," she isn't asserting independence. She's claiming privilege over shared expectations. She reserves the right to glare, erupt, and scribble confessions about her womb's burden, while insisting men stay composed, obedient, and thankful. Yet the twist is this: the men she scorns, the pale bearded man in a Patagonia vest, are the very ones funding her cafe habit, her counseling, her rose quartz stash, and her whole way of life. Men generate 80% of tax revenue. Men construct 95% of roads, bridges, and power grids. Men perish in combat so women may rally safely. And what follows? Accusations of genetic culpability just for being born male. Labeled "num" for not weeping in boardrooms. Criticized for rejecting roles as caretakers or emotional anchors. Feminism doesn't seek male growth. It demands male disappearance. To vanish into neutrality, submission, and silence, like worker ants toiling ceaselessly, so the queen may compose odes to her lunar cycle. And let's not pretend this isn't Marxist. The essay's call to let the old world burn is straight out of the Communist Manifesto. Destroy the existing order, built by men so a new matriarchal utopia can rise, funded by male labor and female virtue signaling. Feminists don't want equality. They want expropriation. They want control over reproduction, intimacy, and emotional validation, the real levers of power, while keeping men on the hook for all material provision. That's not liberation. That's slavery with a smile. And the most insidious part, they call it healing. They call it authenticity. They call it womb curse rage. But it's just old-fashioned tyranny with a new label. The truth is simple. Men don't fear women. We fear the weaponization of female emotion in a system that rewards victimhood and punishes strength. So no, I won't apologize for being a man. I won't dim my logic. I won't carry less ambition. And if my presence, my stoicism, my strength, my silence makes a woman uncomfortable, good, let her unpack that karma. You think your discomfort in the park is oppression. Try being the father whose son calls another man dad while you stand 3 feet away, paycheck in hand, court order in pocket, soul in tatters, because the system doesn't care about your biology, only hers. You think breathing is revolutionary? Try being the 16-year-old boy medicated into numb compliance because he dared to fidget like a normal male in a feminized classroom that pathologizes testosterone as disorder. You talk of karma like it's a spa treatment, while 80,000 men a year vanish into the divorce mill, stripped of children, savings, and dignity, all because one woman decided she was not fulfilled. Let me tell you what real systemic terror looks like. It's a man jumping off a bridge after losing his kids, his home, and his reason to live, while the media calls it a personal tragedy, not a feminist policy outcome. You claim men are 93% of mass shooters. Fine. Then explain why 87% of school shooters were on psychiatric drugs pushed by the same system that calls boys toxic for climbing trees. Explain why Finland, with no ADHD drugging epidemic, has near zero school shootings. You don't want truth, you want blood sacrifice, and you've dressed your vengeance in the robes of justice. Feminism isn't about equality. It's about flipping the pyramid and calling the new bottom oppressed. It's about calling male strength toxic while worshiping female rage as divine. It's about demanding men build the civilization, then branding them as colonizers when they do. You say men should evolve. We evolved to protect, provide, and perish. Now you want us to meditate on our trauma while you tax our labor to fund your menstrual moon cults. No, I refuse. I refuse to apologize for my strength. I refuse to pretend that a woman's journal entry about womb space is profound while a man's silence is emotional constipation. I refuse to live in a world where a boy can't walk to school without being diagnosed, but a woman can destroy a family and be called brave. You want the old world to burn. It already is, burned by the very hands you claim to liberate. But from these ashes we will rebuild, not with performative tears and grounding stones, but with logic, with lineage, with men who know their worth isn't measured by how small they can make themselves for female comfort. You are not oppressed, you are overpowered, and we see you, we always have. Now we simply choose not to serve. And now, the sponsored book introduction, Pro-Men, Neo-Marxist Capture of Institutions, Demonization of Masculinity, Drugging of Boys, Pathologizing of Men, and Female Supremacist Misandry. You're holding this book because something in your gut already knows the truth. You've seen it in your son's eyes when he comes home from school, dull, deflated, like the fire's been smothered out of him. You've watched him fidget, ask questions, try to move, and then get handed a referral or a prescription instead of respect. Maybe you were that boy once. Maybe you were told to sit still, shut up, and color inside the lines, while the world told you there was something wrong with being a boy. I was, and it wasn't just me. This isn't a conspiracy theory. It's a documented collapse. A quiet war waged over decades in classrooms, clinics, and curricula, and boys are losing badly. I didn't start out writing books, I started out surviving. Raised by a single mother in a system that pathologized my energy, I was the problem child. Too loud, too restless, too male. By third grade, I was being evaluated for ADHD. My crime? I didn't want to sit still for 6 hours a day writing essays about feelings. I wanted to climb trees, build forts, and race bikes. But in the new world of education, that wasn't boyhood, it was a disorder. They didn't try to channel my energy. They tried to drug it out of me, and I refused. Not because I was strong. I was just stubborn enough to know something was wrong with a system that treated natural masculinity like a disease. Fast forward 30 years. I've spent over a decade researching education policy, child psychology, and the gender dynamics shaping our institutions. What I found wasn't surprising, it was horrifying. Schools today aren't designed for boys. They're designed to eliminate them. The data is undeniable. Boys are falling behind in every measurable category: grades, graduation rates, college attendance, mental health. Meanwhile, the institutions responsible, from teacher colleges to school boards to pediatric psychiatry, pretend it's not happening, or worse, claim it's the boys' fault. They call it toxic masculinity. They prescribe stimulants like candy. They replace recess with mindfulness circles. They fire male teachers and replace them with sensitivity trainers, and they call this progress. This book is not for everyone. If you believe boys need to be calmed down, if you think masculinity is inherently violent or oppressive, if you think the answer to male underperformance is more female role models and less competition, then close this book now. Go read a self-help journal or attend a gender equity workshop. This isn't for you. This is for men who are awake, men who see what's happening to our sons, men who know that discipline isn't abuse, that hierarchy isn't oppression, and that testosterone isn't a mental illness. This is for fathers, uncles, coaches, and mentors who refuse to watch another generation of boys get medicated into compliance, silenced into apathy, and shamed into silence. Inside you'll find the truth, backed by data, driven by logic, and forged in real-world experience. We'll expose how feminist ideology hijacked education, turning classrooms into gender-neutral zones that punish boys for being boys. We'll dissect the ADHD industrial complex, how pharmaceutical companies and compliant doctors turned boyhood into a profit stream. We'll show how the elimination of male teachers, recess, competition, and discipline has created a generation of disengaged, demoralized young men. And we'll give you solutions: single-sex education, restored hierarchies, physical learning, father involvement, not theory, but practical proven strategies to fight back. This isn't just a book, it's a wake-up call. A field manual for fathers. A defense of masculinity in a world that wants to erase it. If you're ready to stop apologizing for being a man, if you're ready to protect your son from a system that sees him as defective, if you're ready to reclaim boyhood, then you're in the right place. The crisis is real. The evidence is overwhelming. And the time to act is now. Pro-Men, neo-Marxist capture of institutions, demonization of masculinity, drugging of boys, pathologizing of men, and female supremacist misandry. Written by Conrad Riker. Buy now, links in description.